one of the hardest things about my job here in the Immigration Department is just the obvious injustice and discrimination I see in our cases. I've practiced for over a decade in general immigration practice and see what is the correct way for cases to go. And it's very frustrating when I watch our US government behave in such a blatantly discriminate way against people who are doing nothing other than just really trying to live their religion and be here with the hope of safety and security here in the United States, and that they're being delayed and denied for things that have nothing to do with who they are internally as a person or what they have done in their lives. And it's really just about discrimination, and it's very hard to watch. I try my best to let the clients know that that is not who we see and who we know that they are. And so that is why we fight so hard against that system. So here in the Immigration Department, we are very conscious of all of the cases that come to us asking for assistance. But unfortunately, each of these are unique cases that come to us and ask us for help in different ways in the immigration system. But MLFA is one of those organizations that really is trying to make an impact, and we're making an impact in a very specific way. And that is in cases where we see discrimination based on race, religion, and national origin, where there is usually some element of a national security accusation against this individual who is trying to get their immigration benefits. And so not all cases fit that way. And then a lot of times what we have to do is we have to look at the cases we've already committed to. We can only really realistically defend so many cases at a time. And so what we are trying to do is choose the cases that are going to make the greatest impact. So we try to see each case for what it is and take on the cases that will make the biggest difference. So I believe that the Immigration Department here at MLFA is making a difference in the Muslim community. We each day are looking at ways that we can empower our clients and members of the community to stand up for their rights and be treated fairly within the immigration system of the United States. And that's not always easy because the government doesn't always treat people fairly, and they don't always use due process and play by the rules. But the most important thing that we can do to help the community is to fight the cases that are going to change that system. And so that is what we try to do and make a difference, is to take the cases that will make that big impact and help many people following those cases. So MLFA's Immigration Department here in the legal division is different from other attorneys because those attorneys take on just kind of the routine cases and cases that don't have this element of discrimination or national security. And I've worked in that environment. And I think that the difference here is that we really want to take cases that will not only mean something to the individual, but will mean something to the community. Because those cases that we take on that have that element of discrimination, that they're being treated differently because of their race or religion or national origin, are cases that a lot of those private attorneys would turn down. We are trying to give people in those situations the hope to continue to fight against this government discrimination and allow them to eventually navigate through this system successfully. And that is our hope in each of these cases and how we hope to make that impact. One of my favorite moments here at MLFA's Immigration Department was a case that we took on jointly with the Civil Litigation Department. They had initially had part of that case based on a no-fly litigation against the government for one spouse, and we as the Immigration Department were helping with the other spouse who was stranded outside the United States, whose immigration case was not moving forward in the manner that it should have to allow them to come into the United States with their two young children who are also United States citizens. So it was really great to watch how we collaborated together and used litigation techniques to show the government that they really needed to do their job. And it was a resolution that I think would have taken many years otherwise, of just waiting and hoping. And it was great to finally hear that family was coming into the United States to live and to be safe and to be together in a way that they had not been able to do when the immigration system was really treating them unfairly because of the one spouse who they were placing on the no-fly list. So that was just a great element for us to see how our work made a difference for that one family, but also can make a difference in the system and how that they treat other people. So I think that one of the hardest parts of my job here in the Immigration Department at MLFA is watching the government and their tactics and seeing how they so easily find ways to discriminate against people based on their race or their religion or their national origin, and really how they dehumanize people and allow themselves to use stereotypes and cultural incompetence when they really could look at the individual and their behaviors for all of their lives and know that these people really deserve to have the immigration benefit that they're asking for. Instead of the immigration system continuously delaying and stalling and allowing these people to really live their lives in limbo. And that's no way that anybody wants to live. We need safety, we need security. And that's one of the things that our immigration system should provide to people. And it's really hard to watch the government when they are so adamant about not giving that to individuals who deserve it. It's the reason why I think that MLFA and especially the legal division and our jobs are so important, is to hold the government accountable. One of the ways I think that the Immigration Department can really increase and magnify our impact is in creating new and stronger allies within the legal community, that we can partner with attorneys and other nonprofit associations and organizations and fight against this government discrimination in immigration. It's one of those areas of the law that I think is often overlooked because people don't speak out about the problems that they're having. And it is disheartening to know that so many people are probably languishing in our immigration system under these same circumstances of discrimination based on race, religion, and national origin, and being accused of having ties to national security problems that are genuinely not true. And I think that I look to be that multiplier in the legal community to allow other organizations and other attorneys to really stand up and fight for those individuals who would not be able to fight on their own. And that's something that's really important to me in the future, is that we gain momentum in this fight. And we are hopeful that that will continue to roll forward in MLFA in the opportunities that we will have. We vigorously defend our clients against discrimination by the United States government, but we also want to have opportunities to share our knowledge with the community and to allow people to really be aware of the abuses of due process and fairness and discrimination that happen all the time in immigration cases. I think it is one of the overlooked areas in the law because it does not get as much press or attention as other things like maybe those suits against people who are on the no-fly list or things like that. But if you think about it, the policies of the Trump administration, like the Muslim ban, that was an immigration situation. And most people thought of it just as more of a right to be able to travel freely, but really it was discrimination within the context of these people's race, religion, and national origin. And for us, at least, the opportunity that we have in the Immigration Department to continue to vigorously defend against those in individual cases and to make that impact is really part of our love for this work and why we at MLFA are able to continue to strive for the excellence that we need in order to make those cases possible. The Immigration Department here needs the support of not only our clients and other attorneys, but also of the community. We need that support because we cannot continue to fight against the immigration system that is large and powerful unless we have that support. And the immigration system here in the US is not only complex, but now they have also added this element to our cases of making accusations that may be exaggerated or even false related to national security. And when that happens, that's very scary to a lot of individuals and to a lot of attorneys. And so we need to have the opportunities to represent those cases that are going to make a big impact, that hopefully will be able to collaborate not just with our clients, but also with the other parts of MLFA in order to make the biggest decisions that we can that will help to break down the systematic discrimination. And we do that on a case-by-case basis. We don't usually take on groups of cases. And we want to have the cases that have the best opportunity to highlight these discriminatory actions. And we need that ability through the support of our community. And we very much appreciate the support that we've had so far. We've had wonderful clients have great results, and we're continuing to fight in other cases. And we can only do that through the support that we get. So there's a lot of immigration nonprofit organizations in the United States, and many of those fight for clients who have very sympathetic cases, like maybe they are in the humanitarian area with refugee status, or they're trying to get asylee status maybe they're fighting against the Violence Against Women Act, they're trying to get status through that. But many of those do not take on cases that are complex, like anything in removal defense, and especially they do not take on cases that have a national security element. Those are just cases that are going to take up too much of their resources and do not fit within their mission. So we at MLFA, we are a defender against that discrimination in the US immigration system, where the government is trying to use the guise of national security to delay and deny people's cases who really deserve to have the immigration benefits. And they are treating them with an unfair law. And that is one of the things that we are trying to highlight. And we represent those cases because we think that that is going to give the biggest chance to have that positive impact of changing the situation in the law, and also for our community, so they can fight against being targets for their race, religion, and national security. Because in reality, this is a First Amendment right. This is something that the US Constitution guarantees: the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, the freedom of association. And that's something that everybody who is in the United States should be treated with respect and with due process, and be allowed to have that opportunity to ask for immigration benefits without being falsely accused, and without having to prove that their religion is not a threat. And that is something that is so important for our organization, and differs from other organizations that might just do general litigation for cases where they see a delay, but there's no opportunity for them to really make that impact and say, no, this is not the actual truth that the government is telling you. This is something where they want to treat somebody in a discriminatory way, and we will not stand for that. And that is something very important in this organization, and why we are so grateful for the support that we get. So it's very important for individuals to understand that the support that we get here in the Immigration Department is one where we aren't just an add-on to other important issues here at the center, at the organization here for MLFA, that we actually support the same mission for individuals who are being discriminated against for national security. And that may seem kind of different for a lot of people, and they may not see it, but we as an organization have seen over and over again how individuals are treated in discriminatory ways for things like where they made donations to during their zakat, or what mosque they've gone to, or what country they've come from, or where they've gone to school abroad. And those are not reasons why anyone should be disqualified for immigration benefits here in the US. If they have not done anything that is actually a threat to the US or illegal, or makes them ineligible for benefits, the government should not be able to use their race, religion, their national origin in a false and pretextual way to justify behavior that is really the same as what they have done for hundreds of years, which is try to exclude people who they disfavor. And that is not a reason to administer the laws in the way that they do here in the United States. And that is why our specific department, the Immigration Department, is so important, because that is a way that we shine that light and allow people to see that this is a behavior that is not okay, that everyone, all the global citizens who are trying to gain immigration status here in the United States, should be treated well and fundamentally fair. And that is why we fight so hard for our cases.